Shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, glory, and honor to the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, Rakakadash. I'm the brother Napak from Great Millstone, Tampa. I want to give double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. Peace and blessings to hopeful elect. I want to get into a quick lesson, and I want to title this lesson, Don't Become Distracted. We are here to serve. All right? We are here to serve, and this has been heavy on my spirit, this topic, because here in Babylon, it's easy to be distracted. You can easily get distracted from, the work, man. All right, and that distraction, all right, as long as you don't deal with it, can ultimately become something that pulls you out of the truth. As long as you allow it to stay and you overly indulge in it, it can sift you out of the truth. And that distraction can or is very well from Satan. Okay, so just quick, to the point. This is Romans chapter 12 and verse 1. It says, "I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, wholly acceptable unto Yahweh, which is your reasonable service." Okay? So we have presented ourselves as, a living sacrifice, giving and investing all our time into this truth, into the Lord, and serving the Lord YAHAWASHI. Okay? So when it comes to this truth, this is what is prioritized. Classes, lessons, studying scriptures. These things are prioritized because that's our purpose. Okay? The Lord has called us for a specific purpose, and that is our purpose, is to serve Him. And this is something that not everyone has been called to do. So it should put that much of a, not just fear. All right, because if you don't do it, the Lord is going to destroy you with the rest. But importance, it should show you how important, this purpose is that the Lord has given us. All right, it's a vital, piece to the story. Is man, the true man of the Lord, serving the Lord, and we want to be a part of that number. We want to be those true men. Okay. In order to be that true man, you have to serve the Lord to the best of your ability, giving your time, your efforts, sacrificing, for the Lord YAHAWASHI. Okay? Seeking the Lord without distraction. All right, and this is, something I want to grab out too. Just came to my head. All right, is 1 Corinthians 7 verse 35. It says, "In this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction." All right. And OT says, "I am saying this for your benefit, not to place restrictions on you. I want you to do whatever will help you serve the Lord best with as few distractions as possible." And, it's Apostle Paul, he's, if you go into the context, it's basically just speaking on, woman, and, having a woman, it can be a distraction. Having, that woman you're talking to or you're dating, she needs attention and time. And a lot of times, that woman seeks to take your attention and time away from the Lord. All right. And you have to be able to, that's why the scripture says, "I'd rather you be not married." All right. So that's what Apostle Paul said as well. I'd rather you not be married because it's a big distraction. And if you don't, like I said, nip it in the bud, all right, it can very well destroy you in the faith. All right. So a lot of times, the Lord don't give us certain things because it can be a distraction that destroy our faith. It can destroy our mind. All right, so we continue to serve the Lord YAHAWASHI with as few distractions as possible. Now, I'm not saying you can't. There's certain things you're gonna be entertained by. All right, that you gonna your flesh gonna want to do and it's gonna do sometimes, but you got to be able to have temperance. Okay, dealing with your woman, having temperance. Okay, a lot of Jake overly indulge into being with their woman and doing all these different things with their woman to the point where they prioritize their woman over the Lord's work. They prioritize these certain things over the Lord's work, and that's why the Lord, don't, like I said, bless a lot of men, a certain man with women, because he know how they would react, and it's like it's not beneficial unto them. All right, so Apostle Paul is speaking. He said, "I speak this for your own profit, all right, for your own benefit. Okay, not to put restrictions or trap you or anything. All right, but to ultimately, that you seek out the Lord without that distraction, without certain things that you want, but you're gonna give too much into. That's why a lot of times the Lord, the Lord says, asking you shall receive. All right, but a lot of times, the Lord, you have to get your spirit right before the Lord give it unto you. Okay, you can't just go into the Lord and ask for certain things and your spirit isn't right within itself. It's like going to your parent and you've been bad all week and you asking for a new video game. It's like, how can I give you this video, trust you, to play this video game and have a temperance with it, get off at a certain time and not be cussing all on the game and all these different things. If I can't even trust you, in school, being on your best behavior, having good conduct. Okay, it's the same thing. All right, so it's like a lot of times Jake spirits don't be right, and the Lord see that, and the Lord like, I can't give you this or bless you with these certain things unless your spirit is right, and I know that I can trust you with it, or I know that you can handle it. But a lot of things like Jake be wanting a woman, Jake be wanting a nice ass house or this or that, and they don't receive it because the Lord knows that this is what's going to destroy you, bro. Certain things you just can't get. Majority of the times, it's just the season you in. The Lord will deprive you of these things because He's trying to make you focus more so on Him and to get your spirit right, so He can bless you with those things. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or, sometimes the Lord just know like, okay, this is just not for you, man. All right. So we must attend upon the Lord without distraction, with as few distraction as possible. Okay? And not overly indulge into those things, into the distractions, into, what Satan wants us to indulge ourselves into. All right? Because it can always turn left. Now, a good way to look at this is, or look at these things everything's temporary, man. Your woman, the children, everything that's here in this world is all temporary. It all has an end date and expiration date, that we don't, more so really know about. But we know that anytime you can lose something, and you can lose something very dear to you, So the best thing to do is to not become attached to these things, because Jake becomes attached to these distractions, all right, and it rules over their spirit, okay, because they're so attached they can't let go. So they're doing things to please that attachment, whatever they have an attachment to, rather than pleasing the Lord. So once they lose it, it becomes a hole in their heart. Because Jake, and I just want to get that too as well. This is a quick precept, but Jake wants to hold on to things forever, but this place is not meant to be held on forever. All right. This is 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 11. Dear friends, I warn you as temporary residents and foreigners to keep away from worldly desires that rage war against your souls. All right. So you want to, keep away from the worldly desires that rage war against your soul, because these things can, destroy you in the faith. All right. The flesh wants certain things, and the Lord knows those things are not profitable unto the spirit. So he don't gift you with those things or bless you with those things, And everything, like I said, we ourselves are temporary here in this world. We ourselves have an expiration date here in this kingdom, I would say. We have an expiration date in this kingdom. Well, more so, our flesh has an expiration date in this kingdom. All right, and this kingdom has an expiration date itself. So we ain't gonna be here for much long, and we know that. So becoming attached to certain things is a bad idea. All right, you gotta be more laser focused on the prize, on the everlasting life and the everlasting reward that the Lord's going to gift his men. All right, that's where the reward comes in. That is at the end, man, because that's gonna never leave you. The kingdom, the reward that the Lord's gonna bless his man with, that's gonna be forever, man. So that's why we continue with this little time we have here. Is we strive and we serve the Lord YAHAWASHI to the best of our ability, because we know we have but little time here. But with this little time that we do have, we put the most effort into the opportunity that the Lord has gifted us with. Okay? So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect and the ones listening in. I just want to get into a quick lesson on that. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Shalom, Akim.